Okay, how's it going, everyone? Sorry about that little hiccup before. I accidentally started streaming while I was setting everything up. But it looks to me that everything is working now. Yeah, I can see the chat starting to blow up, so I guess everyone here. Oh, I didn't see Corpse Husband. How's it going, man? So today we are going to be narrating top 15 cursed movie sets. And the last live stream I did, I believe on Tuesday, it went over really good. So I'm doing this again. And if you guys continue to like it, we can hopefully make this a regular thing. All right, well, let's get going on this. Number 15, The Ghost of Goodnight Lane. Aline Bijan is a famous filmmaker whose career comes from humble paranormal origins. As such, he is probably one of the few directors that have been directly inspired by ghosts. 23 years ago, Aline bought two buildings and converted them into a single movie studio. An old ranch once stood on an old ranch once stood on the property in the late 1800s, where no less than 5 people are rumored to have died. When Aline started to hear shuffling noises around corners and in closets, he soon concluded that he wasn't working alone. Coworkers began to vouch for him, saying that they saw heavy filming equipment move on its own, as well as phantasmal... Yeah, I'm going to double check the pronunciation on that. Phantasmal. As well as phantasmal visions of a strange figure. One of his colleagues said that they felt an invisible hand harshly slap them in the face. Visitors started to experience the same unexplainable sightings, and a team of paranormal investigators soon verified that the studio was indeed haunted a short time later. While a paranormal presence would soon be enough to send most directors packing, Aline found inspiration from the ordeal instead. He decided to write a script about a ghost haunting a movie set. He called the script The Ghost of Goodnight Lane, and he decided to use his real haunted studio as a set. Sure enough, the stars of the film all started to experience paranormal encounters of their own. Lights would go on and off when no one was around, and ceiling fixtures would fall from the ceiling. It wasn't uncommon for distant voices to call them by first name. Although this was all very disturbing, nothing too dangerous happened, unlike the other movies on this list. This could be because Lacey Chabert from Mean Girls says that she made a friendly pact with the spirits early on. Number 14, Three Men and a Baby. Ted Danson's 1987 comedy Three Men and a Baby was supposed to be a classic feel-good movie, but people weren't laughing after a ghost made a cameo. In one scene, two characters walk into the room to look at a baby. As they pick him up and start to walk away, you can catch a glimpse of something that was clearly unscripted. In the background is what appears to be a young boy staring through a crack in the door. The figure is not smiling at all as he looks straight into the camera. Touchstone Pictures has since explained the ghost as nothing more than a cardboard cutout that was used in a deleted scene. However, not everyone is convinced. When you compare a still frame of the cardboard cutout with that of the ghost, There are enough discrepancies that the rumor continues to live on. Take a closer look. Do you think that these two images look alike? Ghost or no ghost? Go and check in on the chat. Wow, we've already got over 1,000 people watching. All right, I guess we'll just get back to narrating then. Number 13, The Ring. Most people will agree that this movie is creepy enough in its own right, but what if I showed you something a little extra in the background that you might not have noticed the first time around? The scary surprise happens during a scene where the father is picking his son off the kitchen floor. Pay close attention to the window in the center of the background. You should see what I'm talking about as soon as the window comes into focus. A haunting silhouette silently leans into the window sill from the left. A haunting silhouette silently leans into the windowsill from the left. The shadowy figure seems to casually regard the camera for a brief moment. As the actors approach, it slowly leans out of sight. This clip, originally shown on a Japanese paranormal television show, has since become the center of much debate. Will some people say that it looks like a stagehand who forgot to get out of the way? Others say that the figure looks like a ghost. Could this set be cursed? If the YouTube description for this video is to be believed, then even the producers could not come up with a proper explanation. Number 12, The Wizard of Oz. This timeless classic is also timelessly cursed. There were so many accidents on set that the film has since earned itself quite a reputation in the following years. It didn't take very long for things to go wrong. Just 9 days after production had started, Buddy Ebsen, the actor who played the Tin Man, found himself gasping in the hospital. The aluminum powder that the makeup team had coated his face with now coated the inside of his lungs instead. He had inhaled too much of it. His skin turned blue and he could barely breathe, but he survived. An actor named Jack Halley soon replaced him, but he suffered an eye infection from the makeup. Meanwhile, the Wicked Witch was nearly killed after a special effects mistake left her covered in flames. This pushed production back for another 2 weeks as she slowly recovered. Even the animals weren't spared from the set's wretched curse. The flying monkeys reportedly fell from their wires quite often. At one point, someone even stepped on Toto and broke the poor dog's paw. With all of this bad luck and turmoil, it should come as no surprise to learn that the production company was not exactly eager to make a sequel. Simply put, no one was brave enough to see what would happen if they tried to film a second time. Number 11, The Matrix. For such an iconic movie as The Matrix, the series itself surely had been riddled with bad luck. As much as the fans would like to see another installment, it seems a curse has brought the series to a halt. It all started shortly after a sequel was in the works. The pop singer Aaliyah agreed to play the part of Z, but a freak plane crash suddenly ended her life in 2001. Her death was the first of many. Just 2 months later, Gloria Foster, who played the Oracle in the first movie, died of diabetes-related complications in the middle of filming the sequel. Around this time, Keanu Reeves' sister was diagnosed with cancer, which she still struggles with to this day. As if all of this tragedy weren't enough, Keanu Reeves' girlfriend had a stillbirth on Christmas Eve of all days. She was killed just 4 months later in a car accident after leaving a party in LA. While all While all of this was going on, multiple special effects companies, all of whom had worked on the first movie, suddenly went under. Their crucial contracts were now void, and now the new companies all wanted a ridiculously large amount of money. According to one rumor, Keanu had to give a portion of his earnings just to fund production. Speaking of Keanu, when he and Carrie-Anne Moss, the actress who plays Trinity, were training for fight scenes, they both came down with painful injuries on the same day. Carrie-Anne Moss bruised her knee so badly that she had to walk on crutches for over a month. Keanu, in the meantime, hurt his ankle badly enough that it had to be x-rayed for a possible break. He was put into a cast and filming was delayed even further. A motorcycle accident also reportedly ruptured his spleen and broke his ribs. Reading this chat, it still makes me contemplate, I guess, if I still need moderators. We're kind of just leaving it kind of wild right now, which I don't know. I really don't know. It's one of those things. It's like, do you censor people or do you just kind of let everyone say what they want, regardless of how like messed up it is? But anyways, I guess we'll just get back to narrating. Number 10, The Possession. Steeped in Jewish folklore, this horror movie examines a haunted box that spreads evil wherever it goes. As it turns out, the very subject matter itself was evil enough to curse the entire set. The cursed box is known for destroying lights, Borneedle, and director Ol Borneedle, said that a neon light exploded overhead while unplugged. Actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan remembers lots of other light bulbs exploding on the set as well. The set destruction does not appear to be limited to mere light bulbs. Just 5 days after filming the movie, the storage house containing all of the props mysteriously burned down. No items from the movie survived. The cause of the blaze has never been determined, but if you ask the cast and crew, they will tell you it was angry ghosts. On a related note, a good portion of the movie was filmed in the Riverview Hospital, an old psychiatric ward in British Columbia that is notoriously haunted. One YouTuber claims to have worked there as a janitor, and he says that he often heard cackling laughter and whispers coming from a long hallway on the top floor. The hospital is connected by a large network of underground tunnels that are reportedly equally haunted as well. Number 9, The Conjuring. Based on a true story, this movie is about a supernatural presence that makes itself known after a family moves into an old farmhouse in the country. Apparently, whatever was haunting the poor family moved onto the set shortly after they began filming. This could be because the Perron family often visited the set to see how things were coming along. Being the same family who was originally haunted by the ghost in the 1970s, they very well may have brought the spirit with them. One day, a strange gust of wind passed through the set. It ruffled only the Perron family, nobody else, not even the nearby trees. Only one member of the Perron family was too afraid to visit the set, and her name was Carolyn. As the wind passed over her family, Carolyn fell to the ground hard enough to require hospitalization. Even though she was in a different state, she said that she felt a dark presence around her before the fall. Shortly after this occurrence, bad luck started plaguing the cast and crew alike. A freak fire forced everyone out of their hotel. An eerie static would tie up phone lines whenever the screenwriters had to discuss something important. And the director's dogs started barking and following invisible figures as they moved from room to room. Then there were the claw marks. Just gonna double check the pronunciation on her last name. Farmiga. When actress Vera Farmiga was researching the story, she said that no less than 5 claw marks slashed across her computer screen from the inside. She quickly closed her laptop, threw a panicky fit, and then bravely turned it back on. The marks were gone. Later, when they were done filming, she said that she looked down and saw the exact same claw marks again, this time on her inner thigh. With all of these strange happenings, it's no wonder that Warner Brothers hired priests to bless people after watching the movie in theaters. Some people have even claimed to have been haunted themselves after even a single viewing, so watch at your own risk. Oh man, my old nemesis, Amityville. Yeah, just to double check before I do this, right? It's what is it? I'm just going to double check the pronunciation again. I swear to God, I always get this word wrong. Amityville. Amityville. Number 8, Amityville Horror Remake. This remake of the 1979 horror classic was released in 2005 to a lukewarm reception. In reality, what was happening behind the scenes was just as scary as anything they put up on the big screen. 3 creepy occurrences in particular come to mind. While filming at a boathouse, real police detectives entered the set and started to question people, seemingly at random. All they would say is that a dead body was discovered nearby. Some reports say the dead body washed ashore, but according to one interview with actress Melissa George, the body simply, quote, floated to the surface, unquote. Ryan Reynolds plays the male lead, and he began to take on some strange traits soon after filming began. For example, the ghosts in the movie would always strike at 3:15 in the morning. Sure enough, he would find himself waking up at 3:15 a.m. each and every night. You might think that this is merely the power of suggestion. You might think that this is merely the power of suggestion in effect. That he was playing a character who would wake up at a certain time every night and soon began to do it himself in real life. In one interview, Ryan admits that it wasn't just him waking up at 3:15 in the morning, but a large number of the crew too. If you still suspect that this is all merely coincidence, then here is another strange one that is hard to deny. Kathy Lutz is the woman who actually lived in the haunted house that the movie is based on. She died within the first week of filming. She was only in her 50s when she passed. Number 7, The Innkeepers. Director Ty West was shooting a movie called The House of the Devil when he and his crew crashed at a random hotel that the locals thought Director Ty West was shooting a movie called The House of the Devil when he and his crew crashed at a random hotel that the locals thought extremely haunted. When he and his crew crashed at a random local hotel that the locals thought was extremely haunted. During Ty's stay, doors would close by themselves, the television would turn off and on, lights would burn out, and the crew would have strange dreams every night. So what did Ty do? Make a movie about it, of course. The Innkeepers is not only about a haunted hotel. It actually uses the haunted hotel for its set. As such, strange disturbances happened almost every night while filming. At least one actor was almost too scared to continue, but as Ty puts it, I have enough things bothering me, so a ghost's not going to be my problem. He pushed on and completed filming despite the ghostly activity. He continues to spread the hotel through his work to this day. Number 6, Twilight Zone. This movie adaptation of the popular television series is widely regarded as an 80s horror classic. Yet for such a popular movie, not many people were aware that the set was actually quite cursed. Or that 3 actors gave their very lives. It was early morning in July of 1982, the last day of filming. For this scene, an actor named Vic Morrow and 2 child actors were supposed to run away from an attack chopper during the Vietnam War. The only problem was that the special effects were much more powerful than anyone had anticipated. And these fake explosions caused a very real disaster. The pilot was hovering only 25 feet above the 3 of them when the pyrotechnics popped off too closely and made him lose control. The helicopter spiraled towards Vic, who was clutching onto the 2 kids as he treated water. It was a direct hit. One of the boys was crushed instantly. The other child, along with Vic, were decapitated by the blades in full view of everyone. After this tragic event, the Twilight Zone curse latched onto John Landis. Next. As the film's director, he was held personally responsible for their 3 wrongful deaths. And he was charged with involuntary manslaughter. If convicted, he could have faced 6 years in prison. It was the first time a director had ever been charged for a decision made on set. The lawsuit was ultimately settled out of court, but not without dragging on for years and costing him millions. His career was also severely damaged as well. First, he had to reject an offer to direct Dick Tracy so that he could focus on his trial. And second, hardly anyone trusted him with directing movies anymore. Aside from directing Michael Jackson's Thriller music video the same year as Twilight Zone, he hasn't done much worth noting since. So I'll check in again on the chat real quick. I was thinking maybe when I'm done narrating the script, doing like a bit of a Q&A. Any thoughts on that? Number 5, The Crow. You might have heard this one before, but you probably haven't heard the whole story. Allow me to fill you in on all of the gory details. Problems plagued the set of The Crow from literally day one. As soon as production started, a carpenter was severely burned all over when the crane he was standing on struck a power line. Shortly after, a different crew member slipped and put the sharp end of a screwdriver straight through his hand. Strange as these two mishaps may be, they are just the beginning. A sculptor who had helped design set props was upset about the way something was being handled, so they drove their car straight through the studio as revenge. Meanwhile, a publicist managed to get themselves in a separate car accident and was injured. Yet another car caught fire on the set for seemingly no reason. All of this occurred between heavy rains that further damaged the set. The worst tragedy happened to Brandon Lee, star of The Crow. He was killed after a prop gun accidentally fired a small piece of bullet casing directly into his spine. The fatal wound oozed blood as on-hand emergency technicians began CPR. He died in the hospital about 12 hours later. Here's the twist. Many people already know that Brandon Lee's father was none other than martial arts master Bruce Lee himself. However, not as many people know that Bruce Lee bought a house in Hong Kong that was legendarily haunted. Strange demons inside of the house were said to curse not only him, but also the next 3 generations of his family. With this in mind, it seems that the family curse followed Brandon Lee onto the set that year when production for The Crow began. It also apparently branched out to affect many of the crew too. Had he known that the curse would have caused so much damage, Bruce Lee would have almost undoubtedly chosen somewhere else to live. Number 4, The Omen. As you may or may not have noticed, most of the cursed movies on this list are about Satan. There's just something about portraying the beast on the big screen that just seems to awaken Lucifer himself. Having said this, it should come as no surprise that The Omen is one of the most cursed movies of all time. Just 2 months before filming was scheduled, actor Gregory Peck's son shot himself in the head. When Gregory boarded his plane and departed to London, where most of The Omen was to be filmed, his plane was struck by lightning. Believe it or not, executive producer Mace Neufeld was flying to London as well, and lightning struck his flight just moments later. Neither fellow's luck changed once they got to London. The Irish Republican Army threatened to blow up the area where both actors were staying. Police actually found bombs at 2 different sites, meaning that the IRA was ready to make good on their promise. John Richardson was in charge of designing special effects for the movie, and he was driving around in Holland when he got into a serious car crash. John lived, but his assistant was brutally sliced in half. Keep in mind that this was shortly after he was put in charge of the movie's decapitation scene. The date of the accident was Friday the 13th. Could this have been Satan playing a cruel joke? The curse of the omen seems to follow crew members wherever they go. John Richardson went on to work on another movie called A Bridge Too Far. Coincidentally, he was working with a crew member from The Omen again, this time a stuntman named Elf Joint. As it turns out, Elf severely injured himself when he dropped from a high distance and completely missed an air mattress that was supposed to break his fall. According to one account, when Elf awoke in the hospital, he said that it felt like something had pushed him from the ledge. Yeah, I'm starting to agree with the chat. I definitely need some moderators if we're going to keep doing this. But anyways, I guess I'll just get back to recording. Number 3, Poltergeist. Most people suspect that this movie is cursed simply based on the amount of famous actors who died after they starred in it. I'll cover their deaths in just a second, but first, let me address another creepy rumor that not many people mention. The set might have used real skeletons. Jo Beth Williams played the mother in Poltergeist, and on an episode of VH1's Love the 80s, she said that the skeletons were real. Apparently, it's cheaper for filmmakers to sometimes buy real skeletons that were once people from other countries than it is to buy a fake plastic replica. Of course, there's no telling for sure if they used real skeletons in the first movie, but on an episode of E! True Hollywood, they do admit to using real skeletons in the sequel. So if they'd admitted to using real skeletons in the sequel, then it stands to reason that real skeletons in the original isn't so far-fetched after all. Could these skeletons be the reason why many of the cast members were plagued by such painful and violent misfortunes later in life? Will Sampson died at 53 after heart surgery. Lou Perry was murdered at 61. Dominique Dunn was strangled to death by her boyfriend at 22. And Heather O'Rourke died at the age of 12 after her insides ruptured and went septic. If they did use real skeletons, then could have one of these restless spirits have cursed the cast as revenge for disrespecting the dead? After all, having your corpse used as a prop for a horror movie sounds like a good enough reason for haunting people as any. Oh, and if the clown scene from Poltergeist ever scared you, then this next rumor won't help calm you down. Apparently, the low-budget mechanical clown temporarily malfunctioned and really did choke the child actor. The cast and crew thought he was really selling a strong performance until he turned blue in the face. So the real question is, was this a simple malfunction or a malicious possession? Number 2, The Exorcist. This is a horror movie with a horrible backstory. Deaths, injuries, and immense suffering. The Exorcist has it all. To start with, actress Ellen Burstyn permanently damaged her spine during a stunt where she was yanked back by wires. The scream you hear during the scene was real. Aside from this injury, death touched a large number of cast and crew members, a security guard, a technician, and as many as 7 other crew members all mysteriously died. Multiple actors had deaths in their family before, during, and after the film's completion. One time, a strange fire suddenly broke out on the set and reportedly damaged every room except for one. The room of Regan, the possessed girl, had no fire damage at all. Still not convinced that this movie is cursed? Well, when it first premiered in Rome, lightning struck a 400-year-old cross in the 16th century. When it first premiered in Rome, lightning struck a 400-year-old cross in a 16th century church that was nearby. Honorable mentions. Here are some worthwhile bonus curses. Jennifer Carpenter was the star from The Exorcism of Emily Rose. When asked if anything scary happened while making the movie, she said that her radio came on at least twice during the middle of the night. It played Pearl Jam's I'm Still Alive at full volume. Could this be Satan's way of ironically announcing his existence? Another co-star's television turned on at least twice. On the set of Final Destination 3, a series of engineering miscalculations caused a live firework to nearly take out a crew member's eye, much in the style of the series. Camera technicians for the Omen remake said that they lost 2 days of footage due to a strange equipment malfunction. According to director John Moore, a remote-controlled camera kept displaying a message that read, "Error 666. The only problem, at least according to the repairman who came out to fix it, was that no such error code exists. Lightning struck cast and crew members of The Passion of the Christ no less than 2 times. Number 1, The Conqueror. This 1956 movie about Genghis Khan was the single biggest mistake of John Wayne's acting career. It has earned numerous awards for being one of the worst films of all time, and it's a good example of why John Wayne mostly did westerns. And it's a good reason why John Wayne mostly did westerns. Aside from harming his reputation, the set seems to have harmed his health too, and the health of many others. Director Dick Powell chose to film The Conqueror in the mountain dunes of Snow Canyon, Utah. Unfortunately for him, the landscape was as beautiful as it was dangerous, for the government was regularly testing atomic bombs a mere 137 miles away. In fact, just 1 year before they started filming, no less than 11 bombs were detonated at a nearby site. Simon and Harry were the names of 2 particularly nasty nukes designed to deposit a long-lasting blanket of radiation. Nevertheless, the government assured Dick and his crew that the radiation levels were not high enough to pose a threat and that it was safe to film, so film they did. The public was largely ignorant of atomic radiation in the 1950s. Everyone was fully aware that the sandy set was irradiated. Everyone was fully aware that the sandy set was irradiated. But since the government had said that the radiation levels were very low, everyone trusted their judgment. They simply didn't know how dangerous the set really was. Sadly, years later, roughly half of the 220 cast and crew members developed cancer. Dick Powell and John Wayne died of the disease, and many others followed. Armendariz. Co-star Pedro Armendariz got kidney cancer 4 years after filming. He survived, only to have it return in a fatal form. He killed himself at the age of 51 with a bullet to the heart. I should have never taken that part. Actress Agnes Moorehead told a friend as she died of cancer. Another actress, Jeanne Gerson, started out with skin cancer, but soon lost her breast when the disease spread. The death toll grew so large that the cast members thought of suing the government for negligence, though nothing came of it. John Wayne himself died of tumors inside of his lungs, throat, and stomach. Which certainly is tragic enough. But to make matters worse, not even his family was spared. His children regularly attended the set, and 3 of them were diagnosed with cancer shortly afterwards. The Conqueror did manage to gross a smooth $9 million, but if you asked the surviving participants, they'd probably tell you that the collateral damage was beyond compare. All right, well, that was top 15 cursed movie sets. And I'm hoping to have that video ready for Saturday. So I guess with everyone still here now, if you do want to ask me some questions, I mean, I do have some time to stay streaming. I saw, do you like hockey? Well, I guess as a Canadian, I do. I feel like, though, maybe in certain states in the US, it's as popular, but here hockey is so popular. Can't keep up now. There's just too many questions. Yeah, I just can't keep up. There are way too many questions. So, do you like narrating or editing more? I guess editing. I don't know. I just find it more fulfilling. It's nice to see, I guess, the vision I have in my mind actually play out. Narrating is something I've always just I'm really bad for procrastinating narrating, which I feel like just kind of slows down production in general. So I feel like these live streams are kind of good for keeping me on track with that. But about, I want to say near the middle of January, I've kind of switched to having a set upload schedule with top 15s with videos every Saturday and Sunday. And I feel like that kind of keeps me a little on track and just knowing what I need to have done by each day to have the videos ready for the weekend. See, have you ever gotten fan art? I see it sometimes on Instagram. I always like it when I see it because it's really cool. Um, yeah, every once in a while. I still find the weirdest one, which I tweeted about. Well, I don't want to say weird. It was just very funny and flattering at the same time. I guess a husband had gotten for his wife, like a photo, like a frame of some photos, and it was him and his wife, the dad and his daughter, the mom and his daughter, and then the photo of my face reveal. And now I just know that in someone's house somewhere in the world, there's just a picture of me, which is kind of a weird feeling in a way. But at the same time, I mean, I'm flattered by it. I see. How did you come up with the name Chills? Um, I just knew, I guess, that I needed some sort of name. Like there was really like I feel like people knew about the Top 15s channel, but they never really knew anything about the voice behind it. And I wanted just something that was, simple to remember, but at the same time kind of had, you know, I guess like I just wanted something original at the same time. And with a lot of like the horror community, yeah, I guess like, I was really inspired by a lot of members in it for these like really just kind of neat names that I found were like a lot cooler than just something generic like Top 15s. So I can't remember how I finally decided on it. I think I was honestly in bed trying to go to sleep and it just hit me. And I wrote it down in the notes on my phone, found it the next day, and, still just felt good about it. So then I had already wanted to start a second channel and just kind of stuck with that name and been happy with it ever since. I saw I got a donation from Lost Fears 130, so thank you very much. I saw how old are you? I'm of 19 years of age. I see. Has anything weird ever happened while recording these? I feel like with certain stories, um, I don't know. I kind of get that feeling of paranoia, and it's like I need to like look behind my shoulder because it feels like there's something else there, but it's probably just all in my mind. But yeah, it's like sometimes I feel like when the story is really messed up and I can just kind of picture it in my mind, it's just got that more of a powerful feeling to it. And those are the stories that I try to use for the videos. I see. How long have you run this channel? Well, I started it and I've been running it ever since. I think I came up with the idea in 2014, but started making videos. Yeah, I guess actually. No, it was 2015 when I started making actual videos for it. And they started off, I want to say more, it was like the generic kind of, like list video, more like, I think the first one I did, it was like something on Kit Kat flavors that were crazy around the world. And then it was Christmas Day 2015. I uploaded my first scary video. And then ever since there, I've kind of really liked that direction. And I've stuck with it ever since. So you got two people with the super chat, both for $10. Monte 1289, and I really don't want to butcher your name, but your Instagram is that one and only Marine. So shout out to that guy. I see. Are you Hispanic? I am not. I'm part Aboriginal. I see. Do these videos scare you? I want to say more in the beginning. They did, but over time, I guess I've just become desensitized to the content. So it's not a lot of this stuff scares me like it does anymore. But I feel like that just kind of keeps me looking for stuff that's, that much scarier. Because, I want to find stuff. If it scares me, I feel like it'll scare other people. Devin LeBlanc keeps asking me if I can say his name. Well, there you go. Oh, I just see a Dolphins fan just donated $50. Well, thank you very much. And he asked, what province do I live in? I live in Alberta, in Calgary. And he is from Ontario. And I feel like what a lot of people don't realize with Canada, I mean, like, Alberta and Ontario are, there's two provinces in between us. But for me to drive to Ontario would probably be about 20 hours of straight driving. I see a lot of people saying, where do you find your stories? And Reddit's probably the number one source for them, besides people also submitting them to me via email. Usually either the Let's Not Meet subreddit, or more recently I've been sticking to stories from the No Sleep subreddit. And the communities on, both those subreddits are just amazing. I keep seeing, do you smoke weed? Well, I have a medical marijuana card, so yeah. What did people say about my voice in high school? Well, I want to say up until like grade 11, I like didn't exactly have a deep voice. I kind of hit puberty late. So it was like coming back to school in grade 11, and I just remember it was like people were freaking out over the difference. I guess I've just kind of had it ever since. Just got a question from Hannah Kenway, who also donated $5. Thank you. It says, "Chills, are you single?" And no, I have a girlfriend. See, what's your favorite food? I'm a big fan of Asian cuisine. So like sushi, I guess would be number one. Number two would probably be dim sum. I eat a lot of Vietnamese food as well. I don't know if that's something that's as popular all around. I always hear that Chinese food restaurants are super popular in America. Well, here, I mean, there's Vietnamese restaurants. I mean, in every community, at least in the city that I live in, which is Calgary. I mean, I'm live I mean 2 blocks from one and then 3 blocks from another, and the food's always just fantastic there. So if you've never tried Vietnamese food before, I really recommend it. I see ever been to England, and I have, but it was for just like 2 days. It's kind of like last spring break. Me and my brother, we went, kind of just toured around Europe for, I think it was 10 days. We finished up in England, but I'd really like to go back and spend more time there. It seemed like a really cool country that I didn't really get to take in completely. I see favorite song at the moment. I actually have a few right now. The new Young Thug song, Safe, is amazing. I really like Tunnel Vision by Kodak Black, and that new song with The Weeknd on Future's album that just came out on Friday is pretty amazing as well. So it's really like just a time right now for just like, I think like just a ton of music coming out, and a lot of it's really good. I see. Do you play Pokemon Go? That was like something I totally just missed the mark on. I can't remember where I was when it first came out, but I was out of the country, and then coming back, I don't know. I just kind of like missed that initial trend, and then I just never got into it, and that was just kind of the end, I guess. Like I just never really tried it out. But when I was younger, I was a huge Pokemon fan. And I just see I got $15 from D Hewitt. Thank you very much. He says, "How can I get such a magnificent and hypnotic voice? You are an incredible artist. I have a few haunting true stories about the house in Mosey Rock if you're interested." Well, thank you very much. And the best way to send me those stories would probably be to DM my Instagram or my Twitter. I keep both those open, and I'll definitely try to check them out. I see. Are you friends with other YouTubers? Yeah, there's definitely some YouTubers that I really like as people, but for the most part, I want to say I'm a bit of an antisocial person, so probably don't talk to them as much as I should. But I've known like Corb's husband for a while now. Will from Top 5 Unknowns is a good friend of mine. Ben from Top 5s are all people I guess I still talk to, every once in a while. But I mean, for the most part, everyone who I've spoken to in the community is like, very nice. And I have a lot of respect for everybody that I guess also does this, because I know the time and effort that goes into running a YouTube channel. Got from Genghis Studios, thank you. And he said, whatever happened to the British narrator in some of the earlier videos? By the way, love your stuff. And I think he's talking about, oh man, it's sad I can't remember his name. I think it was Ben. He was a freelance narrator that I worked with for a bit. And I always thought he did a fantastic job. It was just kind of like when YouTubers in January, earnings dropped substantially. And when that happened, I just told him I couldn't work with him because obviously I pay everyone I work with, and the fees that he wanted, I just couldn't afford at the time. So we kind of parted ways, and then I started working with other narrators, and I really haven't talked to him since, but I always thought he did a fantastic job. See, from Above Average Azun, hope I'm pronouncing that right. It says, cheers from a fellow Canadian in Toronto. Well, thank you very much. And $5 from Microsoft Tech Support. So thank you. I see, do you know Mr. Nightmare? I've talked to him a little bit every once in a while. Not really recently, though. But I saw that he hit 2 million subscribers just a little while ago. And, congratulations for him. He does a fantastic job. I see Chicago Blackhawks still, in which I'm a Canucks fan, so I was originally born in Vancouver. And that Stanley Cup playoffs, yeah, for a couple years, it was just like they couldn't beat the Blackhawks. They got eliminated every year by the Blackhawks. And then when they finally did beat them, they went to the finals just to have everything fall apart against Boston. And I remember I had a bet with my friend who was a Bruins fan. And since the Canucks lost, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Step Brothers with the shirt that says I Heart Crystal Meth. Well, I had to wear that for a full day at school. So yeah, that was a good time. Oh, I just got from your maker. It says, get it, son. Well, thank you very much. You shouldn't be donating to me, though, but I really do appreciate it. We have a collab in the works that I'm totally dropping the ball on, but hopefully will be soon. It'll be me and your maker. We're both going to be narrating half the stories, and he's gotten them to me. And I just keep getting sidetracked with other things. But that is definitely coming. See, do you like Kanye? I really, really do. Kanye West is probably the only artist that I've liked since a child till now. Like even his latest album, The Life of Pablo, I just thought was fantastic. And I'm pretty sure your maker, it's your birthday today, right? I was seeing that on Twitter earlier. And if I'm right, happy birthday, man. See, who do you main in Smash Bros? Mario, believe it or not. But yeah, I went to Comic Con back in, I think it was April here. I'll definitely be going again this year. Last year was the first year me ever going. And I saw a GameCube there with Smash Bros. And I had to buy it, right. And because played Smash Bros. All the time as a kid. And I'll watch, competitive online. And it was just like that feeling of nostalgia. Like I just had to have it. But never going to be as good as those guys who, I mean, play competitively. It's just unreal. I tried learning how to wave dash, and even that's just like brutally hard. See, Evening Moonlight, thank you. This is what is your favorite ghost story? And that's actually thinking off the top of my head. That is a good question. Not just like a specific one comes to mind that would stand out, I guess, as my favorite. I see ever had sleep paralysis. I think I actually had it for the first time last week. I had a dream that this family's place was haunted, and they brought me in to sort that out. And they basically said like you need to stay here, and they had hired me, whatever. Like I don't want to go and figure out how this worked, right? Because this is a dream. But anyways, I ended up staying at their house for the night. And in the bedroom, I could see like this little girl, and she was like pacing around the bed over and over again. And for the life of me, I couldn't move, but I was fully aware of what was going on around me. And I just kept trying to like sit up and sit up. And I couldn't do it. And when I finally did, I woke up and I was, back to reality. And it's that feeling you get, right, where it's when you first wake up and you don't know it's a dream and you're just trying to, I guess, process what had just happened. So it was a really weird feeling, right? I really hope it doesn't happen again, but yeah, I really feel bad for people who suffer from sleep paralysis regularly, because that just seems absolutely horrible. I was talking with a friend about it, and he was saying as a kid, it was this shadowy presence that would go under his sheet and like into his bed, and he would just have to like lie there, like, obviously it's a very stressful feeling, and there's just nothing he can do about it. So thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Nancy. Says, what's your favorite genre of horror, type of horror movie, and what's your favorite type of horror video to record? Thank you. Um, I guess for a while I did really like is like, like the possession movies, like like the haunted house, I guess. But I don't really find those as scary anymore. So I really don't know for that. And favorite type of horror movie to, or sorry, horror video to record. Um, I still really liked the deep web stuff. I know I haven't done a video on that in a while, but to me that always seemed like the scariest, just because you know those sites are there, I guess, and that stuff is actually going on. So it's just like it's really scary to think that there's such horrible people in the world, and you can freely access that type of horrible content from your computer. Thank you, Anja. Love your videos, man. They're amazing. Have you heard of the Camp Scott murders? No, I have not, but I will Google that right now. It's the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. I'm assuming you're talking about. I see a lot of how tall you are questions. I'm about 6'4". I see a lot of do you watch anime questions as well. As a kid, I was really into it. So in Canada, there's this like kids channel. It's called YTV, and at night they'd always play anime, like Inuyasha and One Piece were probably my favorite too, and I was super into it as a kid. Um, Not as much anymore. I guess I just don't really know any like good shows. Like no one ever really recommends to me like, "Hey, you should watch this anime show." So I guess if you have any good recommendations, definitely let me know. I see. Why did you start narrating? And that was never my intention to be a narrator, right? It was just because I guess when I first started out, I couldn't pay for a voice actor, so it was cheaper just to buy. I started off. It was one of those blue snowball mics, and I would just do the narrating myself, and just kind of stuck with it ever since. I see. How long have you been doing YouTube for? Um, I want to say I've been like making videos since like the seventh grade, but I started this channel in 2014. Before, I think I tried a lot of like different things that were just like popular trends, just because like I just like I really wanted to try to make something of myself on this platform. But I guess if you're just doing the same thing as everyone else, like how do you expect to grow from that? So I mean, like I would try like these like stupid vlog things, I guess, and then it was a gaming channel for a little bit, and then I started. It was a iPhone jailbreak channel. It was kind of like iPhone hacks, and I did that for a couple years and grew a bit of a following. And then one day I got terminated for, it was like spam. Like yeah, it was like whatever that rule is in the community guidelines. So my channel got shut down, and that was the end of it. And it was shortly after that that I'd come up with the idea for top 15. So in a way, I guess I'm grateful that whoever reported me or however that happened, um, that I was able to move on to this. So I got a recommendation from Impurata Khan. Pretty sure I pronounced that horribly. It says Tokyo Ghoul. You have to read the manga though. The anime is half-assed. Well, definitely check that out then. Thank you. See, favorite TV show. Probably at the moment it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but I just started watching Bates Motel last week, and that's an awesome show. It's kind of occupying too much of my time right now because there's like a cliffhanger after every episode. So then it's just like, oh, I'll just start watching the next episode, and then you kill another hour of time, and then repeat that over and over again. But definitely worth checking out. I see. Have you tried to access the deep web? Yeah, I've been on it a few times. The first thing I heard about the deep web was from a guy in my class, and it was that whole Silk Road, like, you could buy drugs off of it and they just mail it to your house. And he was showing me that. And then I learned from him how to access the deep web. And then, not really, it's not like something I'd regularly go on, but then, for research purposes afterwards, I would try, I guess, like to find some of these sites, but some of them are next to impossible or have been shut down. I see. Have you ever been to America? If so, where? I've been to Texas, Arizona, and Hawaii, and two of the original top 15 team members, Shell and Kenneth, are both from Texas. And last time I was there, I actually got to meet them both in person, which was really cool because they'd been people I guess I'd been working with for over a year, but had never actually I guess had to have had a face to face conversation with. So that was really cool, and I obviously have a lot of appreciation for them and what they do. I see. What country would you like to visit? I'd really like to go somewhere where just like the quality of life is totally different from living somewhere like Canada. Um, I honestly don't know yet, but I would just like to go somewhere where it's like a complete culture shock and just kind of get like a different perspective on life, hopefully, from seeing, I guess, how other people live in the world. So it'd be somewhere that's just not anything like Canada. So I guess nowhere in like Europe or North America, maybe Africa. I see. Moved to North Korea. Then I was watching this video on YouTube about how you can actually like take a tour there, and it's very tempting to me for some reason. Just because I mean, there's nowhere else like that in the world, like just totally isolated. I think it would just be interesting to go to, even just to see that, I guess, in person. See, what was your favorite show when you were growing up? It was The Simpsons. I see one guy keeps asking like I narrator you'd like to collaborate with. I don't know if there's one in particular, but I would really like to do another one of those mega collabs that I I want to say it was about a year ago now, and it was with Corpse Husband, Your Maker, Be Busta, yeah, Lazy Masquerade, and Doctor Horror. And it'd be cooler to even like do something bigger than that, like maybe get 14 other narrators, and then we all just narrate one story, something along the lines of that. I think would be like a really neat concept to do. I see. Who is your favorite horror story narrator that isn't yourself? And I'd have to give that one to Corpsey. See, favorite genre of music would probably be hip hop. And what's your favorite video game? I guess of all time would probably be Melee, but currently, I still play a lot of GTA 5. I'll go through phases where, like, that'll be the only game I play. So I'd probably give that as my favorite video game. I see. What's your favorite video you have ever narrated? That's actually a very good question. Here, let me go into my videos right now, see if one stands out. Um, I guess like if I gave it some thought, I would say at the moment it would probably be that clown sightings one, that first one I did, just because when I first got the idea, I knew that I had to do it immediately. So I stayed up all night working on it, and I brought my recording equipment into my basement because that'd be the only place I could narrate at like 4 in the morning. And no, it had to be later than that. I would say it was about 6 a.m. when I finally got to narrating, when I was finished writing the script. And it was my family on the upstairs, and I was trying to basically put my sentences around them walking, because you could just hear steps over and over again in the recording. But I just knew like I had to get that done immediately. Then I would sleep and then edit when I woke up, and was able to get that video done that day. So I was very happy that it was received as well as it did, because it was very much a video that I was just trying to put together as quickly as possible. See, how long does it take to make and edit a video? Um, I don't really know if I just like gave a specific, like, an exact amount of time. Usually about a week of working. I try to get work done on videos every single day, but I've never really, I guess, besides that clown sighting one that I was just talking about, just made one from start to finish. But that clown sighting one, if we want to use that for an example, um, I started at 10 p.m., started narrating at 6 a.m., probably finished around 7, slept. Then from about noon to, I want to say like 7 or 8 in the evening was when I was actually able to upload it. So pretty much it would be about a full day of work if I was just to do it every video, like that, where just all in one shot. I just got a question from Microsoft Tech Support. Thank you. Said, do you ever think of doing vlogs? No, I really don't feel like I live an interesting enough life to make content, 20 minutes of content every single day. And I really don't feel like I have the personality just to be, that positivity, I guess, 24/7. I feel like, it could almost take a lot out of you. So I don't really see myself ever as being a vlogger, but it's always been a question I've gotten from, especially people that, I've talked to in person about YouTube. They always just think, I guess, that's the next step is, trying to get into that whole vlog world. But I never see myself doing that. So yeah, do you watch any other channels on YouTube? What kind of channels are you interested in? Um, I do really like the horror videos on YouTube. I think there's a lot of other creators that do this better than I do, and it's kind of cool that I guess want to take inspiration from them and see how they're able to make their content better. So I always try to watch, I guess, other people's videos in the same community. I also really like DJ Academics for news and Video Game Donkey. I always watch his videos just because he's a funny guy. I see any plans of going to college. Definitely at some point. I gave it a shot in January and didn't really go as planned and ended up withdrawing just because I felt like it was way too big of a workload at once. I had just taken on another project as well and kind of had to decide between that or the other and decided withdrawing from university. But it'll definitely be something that I know I will be doing at some point in my life. It just doesn't really feel like now's the time for that. I'm seeing a lot of just like the same questions over and over again. So I apologize if I'm going long periods of time without saying anything. I'm just trying to find, I guess, questions that I haven't already answered. I see. Was it UFC you went to? No, it was MRU. So thank you, Damn Takes. Hi, Dylan. Longtime fan here, and I truly love your work and that unique voice of yours. Is your passion for your videos the same today as it was when you first started making them? Yes and no. Yes, in certain ways. I guess I love this. I guess like there's certain aspects I guess of YouTube that feels very rewarding. Like I love when I first publish a video and like I guess you get so much like initial love right off the bat, and I feel like certain things like that really keep me going and doing this over and over again. There's certain times though I want to say after doing this like in 2 years now. Um, that I feel like it's just kind of like I get into a rut, but I've never stayed in that rut before, and it's usually something like a topic that I come up with that I really like, and I'll use that to kind of keep me staying passionate about it, and that'll keep me motivated. But I mean, I still absolutely love YouTube to death. I would never stop doing it. Yeah, I want to do this for as long as I can. And thank you, Edgar. Love your vids, man. Oh, are you or have you been a wrestling fan? When I was a kid, I loved wrestling. It was something me and my cousins were like super, super into. I guess my friends at the time as well. Not really anymore. I kind of had a bad experience with it. I went to watch it live and it was in Kelowna, BC, which is weird, right? Because I'm sure not a lot of you guys have heard of that place, but it's very smaller than Calgary, the city that I live in. But for some reason they weren't coming to Calgary, they were going to Kelowna. But it was a WWE event. And I mean, like in person, I could clearly see how fake it was. These guys were just doing an awful job. And it was like they had promised a lot of these bigger wrestlers were being there, and it was like none of the wrestlers there I had heard of, and I don't know why. It just kind of disheartened me from wrestling, because before that I guess I just thought it was all real. But yeah, I feel like at some point I might give it another shot. I haven't watched it now in a very long time. No, thank you, Deoxy's DNA. Would you be more scared of an alien encounter or a ghost encounter? Probably an alien encounter. Just because, there'd be that whole kind of feeling of just not knowing what would happen next. See, are you religious? I'm not very religious. I attended or graduated. It was a Christian high school, and I kind of feel like it had the opposite effect. It kind of turned me off of religion because before then I was Catholic, but now I just kind of feel like there isn't a God. How do you handle criticism on your videos? I guess just knowing that everyone's entitled to their opinion, but that opinion doesn't really have to matter anything to me. So it's kind of one of those things like, you read something from a complete stranger and sure they took the time to write it, or yeah, write it. And it's not like I read all of it, but the ones that I do, even if it's something negative, I mean, it just kind of is what it is. It's not going to stop me from making videos. Thanks, Brandon. No question, man. I just appreciate the work you do. Well, I appreciate you. And, thank you, Evening Moonlight. Just curious, have you received any fan art? On my Instagram, I do every once in a while. Not really lately. So if any of you guys are artists, definitely tweet or Instagram me those fan arts because they're pretty cool to see. Definitely like the different art styles as well. I find really interesting. See, advice for a beginner YouTuber. And this isn't my advice because I remember hearing it in another video, but I found it always resonated with me, and that's never stop uploading. And I feel like it's very true on YouTube, right? Like, you just have to keep going, and even if you have a video that's like, not that greatly received, or doesn't really get a lot of views, I don't really feel like that like stops you. Like, you have to keep going and just keep creating, I guess. That's what I find so cool about this platform. I keep seeing what's your fave Lil Uzi Vert song? I actually have a couple. I really liked Whippin' off. It was one of his old mixtapes. All My Chains from, it was like his fourth newest tape, from Lil Uzi Vert versus the World, probably P's and Q's. And off that project that he released a little while ago is probably Of Course We Garden Flowers. But I find Lil Uzi Vert really cool. It's kind of like it's like that video game sound, but it's rap music. See, what's your favorite Kanye song? All Falls Down, Spaceships, um, Flashing Lights, Stronger, Real Friends. I guess those are just some of the few that instantly come to mind. See, were you nervous about your face reveal? Yeah, definitely. Even these live streams, I'm started off pretty nervous with. The reception was better than I could have ever hoped for. So I guess that, it kind of keeps me motivated to keep going with that. But yeah, it was really humbling, I guess, to receive that much love off of it. So it almost makes me wish I would have done it sooner. Thanks, Juan. You should do a ghost and UFO encounters. Well, I'll definitely keep that in mind. So yeah, do you listen to Tyler the Creator? When I was in junior high, I loved Odd Future. Not so much anymore, but for a while they were like my favorite thing in the world. What's the first place you recommend when I visit Canada? That's a good question. Because I live so close to it, Banff is a really cool place, especially if you've never seen the mountains before. And there's a lot to do there, so I definitely give that place a recommendation. So yeah, do you watch Eric Andre? Yeah, I'm a huge Eric Andre fan. What's your favorite type of donut? Boston cream. See, scariest video on your channel. That's another really good question. Let me pull up the old channel here and see if one, sticks out more than the others. Um, Probably the scariest YouTube videos ones I've always found have been really scary. And I credit that completely to the girl who writes those, Shell. And she's always able to find like some really, really creepy stuff for those. So yeah, did you have a job before YouTube? I did not. So When this channel started growing a following, I was in grade 12. And then graduating, I, made it kind of my full time job. And that was kind of around the time I really want to say things, really started to pick up. And then it's been my full time job ever since. How do you know what videos to put on chills and top 15s? I guess it's just any idea I have, I write it down in my phone, and then I usually go back through those, and it's just any ones that stand out or I feel like you guys would enjoy are the ones that I guess then go into production. But I probably have a list of about 500 ideas. And a lot of them, they seem good in the moment, but I like to always go back on them at a later time and see if I still kind of feel the same way about them before putting in all the effort of actually making the video. See, I've been to a concert, and the last concert I went to was the Nicki Minaj concert when she was in town. It was because my friend had tickets for it. It just wasn't very good, so haven't been to one since, but will hopefully be a better one next time. See, does your girlfriend know about your videos? Yes, she does. I think she actually watches them as well. See, do you like artists like Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash? What are your thoughts of them or the genre they played? So, my grandma, I guess growing up, was a huge, huge, huge Elvis fan. So, growing up around her, she would play that music. And I guess it was never something like, I would still listen to personally. Like, this is not the genre of music I guess I enjoy, but I do have a lot of respect for, you know, the paths they've paved. And obviously, they're both very influential people. See, was your family against YouTube? No, my family was quite supportive, really from the beginning, which I'm very appreciative of because I couldn't imagine going against them to do this. So, yeah, they're always very supportive. I mean, even right now, with me doing this live stream, I guess they're trying to be quiet, which I guess I just appreciate since, there's nothing worse than recording and then going back later and there's background noise that means I have to re record that part over again. All right, well, I guess I'm just looking at the time right now. It's like 9:20, so I think I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you to everyone who's still sticking around. If you want to follow me on social media, My Twitter is at YTChills, and my Instagram is at DylanIsChillinYT. They're both on screen in the corner, which you can probably see right now. Yeah, this was really fun. I got to do this again, especially the Q&A. Thank you again, and I hope all you guys have a good night or a good morning, I guess, wherever you are in the world. Cheers.